But you should see
I certainly do.
this wall.
Yes, this blank wall. Well, these other walls are quite attractive.
Oh, I agree.
I like the looks of these other walls.
Thank you very much.
It's just this one.
This fourth one.
Yes, this is the one that really throws me for a loop.
Oh, I figured it might.
I mean, it's just there, Roger. This great big blank, undecorated wall.
Well, I thought you should see it firsthand.
Oh, yes. I'm glad I flew up. Otherwise, I wouldn't have believed this.
Now, Julia, living in New York, you must be familiar with quite a variety of private residences.
Too familiar, according to my last husband.
All right, then. I imagine they're decorated in many different ways.
You would be amazed at what New Yorkers do to decorate their dens. It's their way of warding off evil.
All right, then. With all your experience, have you ever seen a room decorated quite like this?
You mean with this wall?
With this wall?
Only in... Oh, but no.
Oh, you're going to say?
Roger, do you remember those plays that used to begin with an attractive woman and a charming man coming in and talking?
I do.
Well, this reminds me of those rooms they talked in.
All right. Okay. Keep that in mind. Then tell me frankly. You like it?
This wall?
This wall.
Roger, I've lived in New York long enough to know never to pass judgment on how others live. We have the New York Times to do that.
Now, come on, Julia. We grew up together here in Buffalo. I remember once in the third grade you pulled me aside and told me you could see my underpants.
Did I do that?
You did. And I corrected the problem immediately. It saved considerable embarrassment during recess.
Oh, all right then. I'll speak out again. Do I like this room? No, I do not. But maybe it's just how things are placed.
Placed?
The furniture. I mean, if this wall were behind you, you might be able to live with it. You could ignore it. Better yet, you could simply glance at it occasionally over your shoulder like this. You see? It could be a conversation piece. But with your furniture facing it, you're forced to confront it almost head-on whenever you're in this room.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it?
That's the thing. And I'll go one step farther, Roger. Your decorator should be shot at sunrise.
No decorator's responsible for this wall, Julia.
No decorator?
Peggy.
Peggy? Your wife, Peggy? My good friend, Peggy, who was known in the past for her quiet good taste.
This is the way she wants this room.
But is she serious?
She's never been more serious in her life.
Well, what if you can convince her that she has made a horrible mistake? What if, for example, you took this sofa and unobtrusively eased it round to face that cozy fireplace?
She'd unobtrusively ease it right back.
Oh. Well, what if you focus things on this pleasant greenery?
She'd refocus them the first chance she got.
To face this blank wall?
To face this blank wall.
My. Why is Peggy behaving so strangely?
I wish I knew.
I keep thinking of plays.
I ask you to keep them in mind.
Doesn't this room make you feel almost the minute you walk in as if you were acting in one?
Well, it does, Julia. And perhaps you've noticed since we've been here, we've begun to talk in an artificial and stagey sort of way.
I have noticed that. And it's hard work. I mean, not only do I have to think about what to say, I have to think about how best to say it.
Me too. I also.
This is exhausting, Roger.
Oh, it is. And you're just a guest here. This is my living room. I've got to live here.
Oh, but surely you could retreat to another room. There must be a den in here somewhere.
Oh, I escape it when I can, but Peggy keeps coming in here, and since I like being with her, I follow along. That's when the trouble starts.
Trouble?
Oh, yeah. The minute we get in here, she becomes restless and impatient. And I feel obligated to keep her interested. No, the result is more and more, I find myself performing like a trained seal in front of this wall, trying to ignore it, trying not to ignore it. Oh, constantly aware that I'm very much on the line. As a man, as a husband and as an actor.
Do you have any stage experience?
Oh, none at all. I'm a businessman, Julie. I run a small factory here in Buffalo. We manufacture spherical distributors.
Spherical distributors. Now, don't tell me. They go in the engines of automobiles.
No, those plastic little balls that go in roll-on deodorants.
Oh. Well, how post-industrial. Say, I imagine in these anxious times you're doing quite well.
Well, success means nothing, Julia, when at the end of the day I'm forced to confront this blank wall. Have you ever read Melville's Bartleby?
Of course not.
Well, I have. It's about... hell, skip it. Have a drink, Julia.
Oh, I don't know. Nobody drinks much in New York anymore. At least not in public.
Well, at least just have a glass of champagne.
No, actually, I have to catch a flight back. I'm meeting someone tonight for some safe sex. I'll send you a bill for my consulting fee.
Oh, wait, Julia, don't go, please. It's hell being left alone in this room. You feel compelled to have something to do.
It's also a hard room to leave. I keep thinking I need a better exit line.
Well, then come and have some champagne as an excuse to stay.
All right, just one glass for old time's sake.
Oh, good.
I must say, Roger, I am amazed by what I've seen. From the looks of your annual Christmas card, I would have said that Peggy was primarily interested in children and dogs.
Oh, she used to be. She used to be also interested in community service. And it was only after our last child entered prep school and the Dalmatian died, and the funds for the downtown community center dried up, that she started rearranging our furniture. But welcome back to Buffalo. Do you like this champagne, by the way?
May I be frank again?
Oh, I wish you would.
Then no, I don't.
That's because it's stage champagne, Julia. It's basically ginger ale. I don't dare serve real alcohol in this room for fear we'll slur our words or say something stupid in front of this wall.
Hello?
But there's Peggy now. You have to see for yourself. We're in here, darling!
Wait, how should I act?
Well, try to be natural.
I can't. I haven't been natural in years. I'll be theatrical. The situation seems to call for it. Hello, dear.
Hi, darling. Look who's up to see us, darling. Our dear old friend, Julia.
Why, Julia, hello, Peggy. Oh, it's both cheeks in New York, darling. Like alternate parking?
Where have you been, dear?
Oh, out around. I hear you're a do-gooder, Peggy. Have you been out helping the homeless and stuff?
I wish I could. Have you noticed my wall?
I must admit, the subject came up, Peggy.
What does it do to you?
Well, Peggy, it raises a number of fascinating questions.
And I've been trying to answer them, dear.
As I believe in the theater, they call it exposition.
Is that where they go over old ground?
Exactly, Peggy.
There's too much exposition in the world. I have a telephone call to make.
Well, who to, dear?
Oh, I don't know. I'll think of someone.
We lost her.
I'm furious, Roger. She treated me as if I was simply an extra. We hardly made eye contact.
Well, she does that a lot.
But we grew up together. I haven't seen her in years. And now she trumps up some excuse to just walk off.
Don't take it personally. The other night, I organized a small dinner party. She did the same thing.
A dinner party? Why didn't you invite me? I shine at dinner parties.
Oh, it was just a little thing I threw together. A few people who happened to be in town. Governor Como, Cornelius Bennett of the Buffalo Bills, Kitty Carlisle Hart, that crowd.
I would have flown up immediately. I've been dying to sleep with all three of them.
Well, when you find out what happened, you'll be glad you didn't. Like a fool, I served everybody cocktails made with real alcohol. Well, as a result, the conversation became somewhat random, and Peggy got impatient and left the room.
I hope she had a better exit line.
Oh, it was worse. She announced that she wanted to take a bath.
Good Lord! Did she need one?
Not at all. But she spent the rest of the evening in the tub reading the New Republic.
What did you do?
Well, I tried to carry on the best I could, but it wasn't easy with my wife splashing around off stage and singing.
Singing what?
if I had a hammer.
Oh, how horrible! Something has got to be done.
Well, that's why I called you up. I figured you would be able to get a handle on things, being a woman and a New Yorker.
Yes, well, I'm very glad I'm both. Well, let's see. I'm reviewing in my mind something I read recently in the living section of the New York Times. Yes. I've got it. Roger, this room, these strange entrances and exits, well, Peggy, in her middle years, has come to see her life as some sort of play.
You think that's it?
I do. It happens a lot with suburban women. You know, the empty nest, all of that. Most of them learn to accept it and settle for a supporting role.
But not Peggy.
No. Peggy seems to be warming up for a major part, which is ridiculous when you think about it. I mean, she has no New York experience.
You mean to her we're all in some play?
Exactly. And I think she wants us to act it out. I say it might be kind of fun, as long as we keep it regional and not for profit.
But it's not fair. I mean, here I am, rich and free, kids educated, ready to celebrate not only my own success, but the success of capitalism in general. When suddenly my wife wants me to perform some stupid play in front of this blank wall.
Oh, now, Roger.
Well, but I hate it. I'm beginning to see the whole world as simply a stage, and all of us men and women merely actors strutting around upon it.
Others have said that before, Roger, and said it better.
Well, that's because I'm no good at making up lines. Yeah, it's not fair.
Oh, now, Roger, get a hold of yourself. If Peggy wants a play, surely she must have a plot. Do you know what her plot is?
I don't know. And I don't think she does either. Now listen, I'm trying to be a good sport about things, but I have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing.
I'm coming back.
She's coming back. Tell me what to do.
Right? Try making a speech.
Speech?
Give her something to react to.
Have I missed anything?
We've missed you, darling.
What's been going on?
Well, we've been drinking champagne and doing light dialogue, Peggy.
Is that all? I was hoping there might be more.
I agree with you, Peggy. There's your cue.
Peggy, darling, let me remind you of something. This is our living room. This is where you and I have lived for over 15 years.
I know that.
But no, see here on the piano, here's our family happily arranged. Our children, little Teddy in Little League, and Elsie graduating from junior high school.
How sweet.
And our grandparents, Peg. Over in Italy, we went to visit them, and your parents when they came over for Thanksgiving.
They fought all during dessert.
But no, honey, look, our hearth, our mantelpiece. Your community service award nestled right next to my Buffalo Better Business Medal. Oh, and this lovely vase that our friends gave us.
For our 15th anniversary.
Oh, right, honey. And there on the rug where the dog peed. Remember that? Oh, and this spot over here on the wall where you threw your drink at Madge Baxter during the Vietnam War.
She wanted to assassinate Jane Fonda.
Oh, look out into the yard. Out here in the yard, honey, there's the sandbox I made for the kids before the cat started using it. And the tree stump, which was home plate to all those wiffle ball games. Oh, and look at the maple tree. It's almost as big as the house now.
This is a lovely speech he's giving, Peggy. It's too long, but it is lovely.
I know it is.
Well, then face this way, darling. Look this way, not some blank wall.
I can't.
Why the hell not?
It's not enough.
Not enough? Our life together has not been enough?
There should be something more.
I think she wants you to get deeper. That's it, isn't it, Peggy? You want it deeper.
Maybe.
Try making the speech again, but this time make it deeper and shorter.
Okay. Peggy, darling, this is our life here on the... Oh, I can't do this, Peggy!
I know you can't.
I think what we need is a plot.
Maybe that's it.
getting quite irritating. It needs a good director.
Well, maybe if you talk to her alone.
I don't think I could do that.
Now look, I flew you up here, and with what the airlines charge these days, it's the least you could do.
I'm just not sure I'm up to it, Roger.
Well, why not? You're a woman after all.
That's exactly why I can't.
Well, what do you mean?
Roger, any scene I had with Peggy would be doomed to fail.
Why?
Because I want it to fail.
You want it to fail?
I suddenly find myself wanting Peggy to continue down this strange theatrical road. I also want you to become so frustrated with her that you'll turn elsewhere for solace and sex.
Elsewhere?
Namely to me.
Uh-oh.
Well, I'm sorry, but that's what I want.
Oh, you amaze me, Julia.
I know, I amaze myself. But we've got to have a plot, and it's the only one I can come up with.
Now, come on, I'm coming from New York. You probably have other sexual commitments. A lover, a new husband, various lesbian affiliations.
Of course. I'm supposed to be meeting one of the above this evening.
I remember you said you had an appointment.
But now I have no intention of keeping it. I now feel feelings I haven't felt since I saw your underpants in the 3rd grade.
Come on now.
I'm here, Roger. I'm available, and I am famished for love. And so it is cruel of you to ask me to play a scene which goes so much against my own sexual objectives.
Wait, this is a tough one.
Well, there it is.
Here, have some more champagne while we think about it.
Oh, no, better not. Given the mood I'm in, even fake champagne might make me more aggressive.
Oh, wow. Hey. Geez, I invite you up here to help get my wife back, and now you tell me you want to be lovers?
At least it's a plot.
It is. It's definitely a plot. Now look, I'm an amateur here. I'm perfectly willing to admit it. But it seems to me that the theater is riddled with scenes of self-sacrifice. Now, if you were to play out such a scene with Peggy, where you'd be trying to save a marriage that your own sexual appetite is tempting you to destroy, well, I may be wrong, but I think the stuff of real drama lies in a scene like that, Julia.
You think so?
Oh, I do. In fact, it sounds like a star turn to me, Julia. If there were critics there beyond that wall, I think they'd be convinced by that scene that your name belongs above the title and ahead of all the rest of us, even out of alphabetical order.
Then I'll do it.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, you shouldn't have kissed me, Roger. Whets my sexual appetite.
That's why I did it.
You're a ruthless man.
Oh, I'm learning you have to be ruthless in the theater. I think we're getting somewhere.
I'll be right in.
Does she listen off stage?
Oh, of course not.
Are you sure? It might affect how I play the scene.
My wife is no eavesdropper.
She's so much on cue.
Oh, that's this room again. It makes everything seem so contrived and mechanical. That's why I need your help. Now, I'll duck out, and you two women can have what the French call a tit-a-tit.
I find that remark offensive, Roger.
I do too. See what's happening to me? Oh, now I'm going for cheap laughs which ridicule women. Oh, help me, please.
All right. I'll do what I can to cope with an impossible situation. No New Yorker can do better than that.
Here I am.
I'll go watch a ball game in the den.
You're not staying.
Sorry, I've been working my ass off since square one. I need some time on the bench.
He's upset.
Which is what I wanted to talk to you about. Shoot. Peggy, darling. Normally in New York when we talk to our friends and we fear that the conversation might become confrontational, we try to ease into the issue by discussing a few pleasant preliminaries. We talk about the weather, and we discuss current events. We recall moments in the past which may have been mutually agreeable. Only after these diversionary overtures have been thoroughly played out do we gingerly step across the border into the area of controversy.
Well, that sounds like a complicated way to keep friends, Julia.
Well, it works. But in your case, the issue is so compelling, I plan to jump right to the point. Hey, what's the story with this bloody north wall?
I wish I knew.
Won't accept that as an answer, Peggy.
It's always been there, that wall. I'm just calling attention to it.
But it makes people self-conscious, Peggy. It forces them to perform.
Well, that might be a step in the right direction.
What direction? We have no been mentioned, Peggy. The word definitely came up in my scene with Roger.
But that wall is still there. And I give my eye teeth to get beyond it, Julia.
Peggy, darling, look, let's try to remember that walls were put on this earth for two reasons. To hold up the ceiling and to keep people from killing each other. I'm all for them, and so I believe in most architects.
I disagree, Julia. My entire life has been devoted to the breaching of walls. I broke through the wall between childhood and adolescence. I broke through the wall between single life and marriage. And Roger and I built our own cozy little wall around home and family, but I broke through that when I got a job. And then I only saw more walls, walls upon walls everywhere I looked. I see a wall between you and me, Julia.
I hope there is, Peggy. In school, they made us memorize Robert Frost.
Oh, I know. I know. Stone walls make good neighbors. But maybe we're too hung up on these ramparts we watch. Maybe this wall, this last wall, this fourth wall, is just an illusion. All I know is I will never be happy. Never, Julia, until I at least try to see beyond it and get through it and leave it behind me forever.
Peggy, darling, look. I've only been here 20 minutes, and already I feel this pressing need to take some sort of action. It's as if there was someone whispering in my ear saying, hurry up, lady, get to the plot.
I hear something else.
Such as what?
I don't know. Something calling from beyond that wall.
Saying?
I'm not sure. Something like, come on in, the water's fine.
I'm not interested in playing Esther Williams, Peggy. Now, stop trying to be avant-garde, Peggy, and start thinking about your marriage.
Did Roger say something about that?
I never reveal my sources.
I'm hoping this wall will improve our marriage, Julia. I'm hoping that one day he and I will sit down in front of it and be forced to talk seriously about important things. How many couples ever do that? How many talk at all? Most of them simply eye each other at meals and then fight when they get in the car.
You might lose me, Peggy.
Why do you say that?
I sense he's being pulled in another direction.
I think that too.
Well, then turn away from this wall, darling, and turn your furniture away from it. You stand up right now and turn your back to it.
No thanks. I have been turning my back on things for too long. That wall is there. And even if there is nothing beyond it, I have to behave as if people were there.
Even if you don't know where you're going,
Even so,
even if it forces your husband into the arms of another woman. Well, I won't give away the only plot we have.
I'm sorry. Here I stand.
Well, then I guess we'll just have to play things out, each in her own way.
I'm afraid so.
It seems to me our scene is virtually over.
I think it is. And now I'd better go do something about dinner. You're welcome to stay, by the way. We normally eat in the kitchen and things get more cozy and informal in there.
Oh, thanks, Peggy. I might. It just depends on what happens in my next scene with Roger.
Fair enough.
So if you please, could you ask him to step in here when you pass by the den? I have something I want to say to him.
Okay.
And could you ask him to make it snappy? I'd hate to be stuck out here doing cliched stage business like thumbing through a magazine or playing with my hair. I really hate that, Peggy, fourth wall or not.
Why don't you play the piano?
Because I don't know how.
Oh, don't worry, it plays itself. It's like one of those old Wurlitzer pianos.
I'm not interested in provincial nostalgia, Peggy. I left all of that behind back here in Buffalo.
Your hair.
our player piano.
Oh, yes.
I programmed it strictly for Cole Porter.
I noticed that. Do you think we could squeeze out a reprise?
I'm worried about Peggy. She said you had something to say.
Oh, right. Brace yourself, Roger. I've decided your wife is insane.
Come on now.
No, nuts. Totally mad as a hatter.
Are you sure?
Look, if it were simply a question of play acting in this room, I'd say, fine, let's keep it up. As you know, I'm beginning to enjoy myself. But she wants to break through, Roger.
To where?
To some other side. To reach people of different backgrounds. I wouldn't be surprised if she actually wanted to touch them. It's the 60s without the Beatles.
Oh, good Lord!
And she doesn't have a plot, Roger. Not even a subplot. Only some vague desire to make connections.
You make her sound like some unemployed telephone operator.
At least I have a plot.
Did you tell her that?
I broadly hinted at it.
What'd she say?
Nothing.
She didn't care?
The only thing she cares about is that stupid fourth wall. Now look, I've done what I can as a concerned friend of this family. It's time to ship her off to the funny farm, Toot Sweet.
Oh, come on now,
No,
Julia.
I'm serious, Roger. The poor dear needs help. Now call the men in white and get her out of here.
Peggy, I've been married for such a long time, but to see her grappled to the ground and forced into a straitjacket.
Oh, but they did it to Blanche Dubois in Streetcar. It was profoundly moving.
Oh, but we're talking about my wife, the mother of my children.
Now be strong, Roger. You stride to that telephone and dial manfully.
But I don't know the number of the insane asylum.
976 nuts. Saw it advertised at the airport.
Our phone's out of order.
I don't believe that, Roger.
Well, one of my kids is on the extension?
Your children aren't even here, Roger. You're becoming totally implausible. Now telephone or I will. What was that?
Car door slamming.
My goodness. Don't tell me the ambulance has arrived already. That is awfully fast work, even for the theater.
Well, that may be somebody else. Peggy will let him in.
Let who in? You obviously know who it is.
All right, sit down and I'll try to tell you.
I suspect there is a twist I'm unprepared for.
Would you like more champagne?
I've already told you no. Now stop stalling and tell me what's going on.
All right. While you were out here having your scene with Peggy, I went, as I said I would, to watch the ball game. However, when I got there, I found I couldn't concentrate. Not only did I find myself torn between two women, but I found myself a man caught in a play not of my own making.
Well, I can understand your confusion.
Finally, out of desperation, I made a telephone call.
A telephone call?
To the State University Department of Drama. I thought if someone could get a handle on this, someone who's devoted their life to the study of drama might be able to do so.
So you dialed the State University of New York at Buffalo?
I did. I braved their new touch-tone Centrex answering system. I defied the rudeness of the students who kept putting me on hold. But finally, I found myself speaking to a member of the drama faculty named Professor Lesser.
Professor Lesser?
Well, naturally, the first would call him simply by his first name, Lloyd.
Well, rather than Professor Lesser. Yes, that makes sense.
Well, I explained to him our situation and asked him to stop by. Like most academics, he had nothing better to do. So I strongly suspect, therefore, that may be Floyd arriving at our front door now. Peggy, would you get the door, please?
I must say, Roger, I'm a little hurt. First, you fly me up here to ask for my advice, and now suddenly you're calling in this second opinion?
Well, we had to, Julia. We needed the cool, dispassionate eye of academia to examine our situation and advise us what steps to take next.
I've never much liked university professors. I've had affairs with several, and they all seem to be obsessed with tenure. No, I'm worried about this Floyd person already.
We have a guest. This is Floyd, people. He's an assistant professor of dramatic literature specializing in modern American drama.
Eugene O'Neill from David Mack, actually. Although I also do a broad survey of world theater.
Floyd, this is my husband, Roger, a successful American
chit-chat, gang. Everyone please sit down. I suppose I should say from the start that you will be judged as much by the comments that you make along the way as by what you write on the final exam.
Exam? You give exams?
I do indeed. I think it's important to pull things together at the end. I normally ask people to write an essay of 8 to 10 pages.
Single or double spaced?
Double, but in this case, we might settle for oral examinations.
Sounds like a dentist.
Who said that? I'm waiting. We will simply stand here, wasting valuable stage time until the person who made that remark has the courage to admit it.
I said,
Why?
because I thought it would be funny.
And was it?
Well, actually, it didn't get the reaction I thought it would.
Exactly, Julia. And I'll tell you why. Because it wasn't serious. Comedy, people, is a serious business. And now that we've learned that, let's move on. Yes, Peggy?
I'm worried about something on the stove. May I be excused?
You may.
All of you should feel free to talk about me when I'm gone.
Now that was a sweet exit. Talk about me when I'm gone. I like that remark. Of course, most of theater is about that.
Most of life is about that.
Wrong. Another half-baked remark. Beware of comparing life and the theater, gang. Life is sprawling and unpredictable. The theater is confined and artificial. There is no comparison between the two. Unless, of course, your own life happens to be confined and artificial as well. Is it, Julia?
Well,
We'll find out soon enough, won't we? No, people. Life is action. Theater is talk. Or rather, in the theater, talk is action. At any rate, the best talk is primarily the best theater, which is why I become immediately impatient with characters who talk before they think.
Could we talk about Peggy now that she's gone?
Raise your hand, please, Roger.
Did you have a chance to observe my wife?
I did.
Did you have any thoughts based on your observations?
I'd say she's a mighty attractive woman.
Thanks. I agree.
we think she's nuts. Do you?
Hand, please.
Do you think she might be suffering from psychological difficulties?
Not necessarily so. I'll simply say she seems like a woman waiting.
A woman waiting?
Yeah, she's waiting for something, some action, some scene, some plot, which will enable her to play a more meaningful role. Out there, she was like an actress waiting to come on stage. In here, she was like an actress waiting to go off. Note now that she is preparing dinner. When it is ready, I suspect that she will serve it to us. Wait on it, so to speak. Always wait. I'm reminded of Samuel Beckett.
Is that good?
That's very good. My compliments to your wife, sir.
Thanks, Lloyd.
But she doesn't have a plot.
No, but I'll bet you have a plot, don't you?
As a matter of fact, I do, yes.
And I'll bet it's one of those cheap, second-rate triangle things leading from adultery to divorce.
Yes, well, at least it keeps things moving.
Better Beckett than that.
Oh, yes, well, we'll see.
Yes, we will, won't we, Julia? I hope your cliched little plot collapses before the evening is half over.
I'd like to
Oh,
get
come
back.
on, Jesus! We're all hung up on plot here, and I'm worried about my wife.
You're right, Roger. We've gotten ahead of ourselves. It's always best to begin by discussing the set. So this is the sacred place, eh?
This is it.
This is the Grove of Dionysus.
I guess.
And this is, I assume, the infamous fourth wall.
This is it.
Notice how all of the furniture faces it.
I'm quite aware of the requirements for realistic drama, madam. You forget, I teach the stuff.
Well, toy to you.
I'll consider that a stage whisper and ignore it. Now, yes. The set is pretty much as you described it, Roger. You did a very good job on the telephone, and if this were a course in the visual arts, I'd give you a straight A.
Oh, well, thank you.
That's the good news. The bad news is it's ridiculously old-fashioned. I'm amazed. I'm truly amazed that In this day and age, anyone would bother designing a set quite like this.
Personally, I think with the right adjustments, it could be a lovely room.
In 1925, perhaps. In 1938, at a stretch. Perhaps in Britain for a brief nostalgic period after World War II, but not in America at the tail end of the 20th century. No, people. Bourgeois domestic comedy is dead, and I, for one, am glad to see it go.
That lovely vase!
It symbolizes our marriage.
Consider it a prop, Roger. Let it symbolize your last link to the past.
Oh yeah, Floyd? Well, that liquor's a prop, too. You're mixing yourself a glass of water.
I know that, Roger. But notice how well I moved it. Now, sit down. Derivation of the word prop, short for stage propping, people, came into use in the 18th century. Think of it as support. It propped you up. We academics are really active, you know. We trot and fret our hour in front of the class, and we too need our props. A book, a piece of chalk, or in this case, a drink to lean on. They give us something to do.
You said earlier that this sort of play is dead.
I did. Yes, I did. Yes.
If so, then why are you bothering to stick around?
That's the first good question you asked, Julia. And so I'll tell you. I'm sticking around because there's one thing about this room which intrigues me.
Well, what thing?
This fourth wall.
This fourth wall?
This, don't you see it? It redeems things. It dominates the room. It implies a world beyond the world it's supposed to contain.
And you think that's good?
I think it might be, yes, Roger. You wonder if your wife is insane. My answer is quite possibly no. By insisting upon this wall, your wife may be more in tune with the postmodern world than anyone else in this room, except for myself. Simply by the configuration of this room, Roger, your wife may be subtly challenging Western democratic capitalism at its very core.
Like Melville's Bartleby.
Exactly, Roger. Very good.
Thanks, Floyd.
But your wife may be going farther. She may be saying that there's more than material success and the quaint pleasures of hearth and home. At a time when communism has collapsed in ruins, and the lowliest citizen of the poorest country secretly aspires to live in a room just like this, your wife may be saying, don't bother. It's not worth it because there's a world elsewhere. A world beyond this wall, which is far more worth reaching for. It's a daring room, people, and therefore a dangerous one.
Dangerous? Is my wife in danger?
Oh, nonsense. I noticed an excellent security system when I walked through the door.
It will take more than a suburban burglar alarm to keep out the reactionary forces of militant capitalism, Julia.
Good Lord.
And now look, I could be all wrong on this thing. This could simply be another domestic comedy. The sort of thing the English have always done better, and we Americans have vulgarized into the TV sitcom. It could be that. And if it is, I'll dismiss you both as soon as I finish my drink.
Or
It could be a deep and dangerous challenge to contemporary values, a major step into the 21st century, working within the rubrics of realistic drama, yet systematically deconstructing them as it goes along.
well, how will you be able to tell?
By talking to Peggy. Go get her immediately.
I will. But
what?
Gee, Floyd, I kind of hope this is just another conventional comedy. Well, I mean, I hope it has a conventional happy ending. I want my wife back.
Oh, come on, Roger. Join the modern world. Allow for a little dissonance around here. Embrace the random. Who knows? I might just end up with her myself.
Oh, yes! You do remember him saying how attractive she was.
They call that a plant in the theater. P-L-A-N-T. In the sense of a seed planted that will grow to fruition later on.
Well, I don't like that plant, thanks.
Oh, come on. Loosen up, Roger. Besides, we have our own garden to cultivate, remember?
Your task is to simply send in Peggy. What you do off stage is no concern of mine.
Hear that, Roger? Let's go. It's time to make our garden grow.
Oh, stop that.
when day is done, that the hour is coming when you'll be kissed, and then you'll be kissed again. Hold that your tongue, say it's good, and every star out in far Hollywood seems to give it a try. So why shouldn't I?
You wanted to talk to me, Floyd?
I did, Peggy. Please sit down.
Right.
I'd like to switch from the lecture mode to the Socratic method and ask you a series of pointed questions.
Ask away.
I hope you'll answer them as thoroughly as possible.
I'll try.
Okay, first, what are we having for dinner?
Oh, well, I made this casserole. It's just chicken, and I threw in some cheese and leftover broccoli. And then
That's enough. It sounds good. I think I'll stay.
I'm glad I made enough.
Now, hey, is it true you think there are people beyond that wall?
I think there could be. I think there should be.
Should be, Peggy?
I think it could be terrific. If people could gather together somewhere, away from their TVs and their CDs and VCRs, and see and hear live actors say serious things about what's happening in their city, in their country, and in their world.
What you're saying is that any culture which cannot produce good theater and a good solid audience to respond to it is no culture at all.
Maybe that's it.
And what you're saying, now don't let me put words in your mouth, but what you might be saying is that most great Western nations, be it Greece in the age of Pericles or Elizabethan England, have all produced great theater when they were at their peak.
Is that true?
Yes, indeed, and maybe you're saying that we ourselves in this country had a whiff of that greatness in the period from Eugene O'Neill to Arthur Miller, when indeed our country was at the height of its power.
I could be saying that, yes.
And now you're saying that now that our theater has declined, you're concerned that our greatness as a nation is declining as well, and therefore this wall and your yearning to reach beyond it is an attempt to revitalize theater in America and to keep our country from sliding irrevocably into darkness and decay.
Oh, that could be it.
God, Peggy, you don't know how exciting this is. Earlier this afternoon, I was sitting alone in my office, hoping that one of my students in American drama might stop by at least to chat. I knew, however, that this was unlikely because this semester I'm down to 3 students in that class. An ambitious young man who wants to write film scripts, a breathless young woman who once saw Les Miserables, and an exchange student from Bangladesh who signed up by mistake. Normally, I would have used this time to prepare for next semester's course in world theater, but today I learned that that's been supplanted by the second section of a new course in media studies entitled The Brady Bunch and Beyond.
Oh, you poor man.
Oh, no. Because your husband called and invited me here, and now I find myself not simply discussing, but also actively involved in what I feel could be a vital new American play. I mean, this is thrilling, Peggy. I feel we're on the brink of a major breakthrough. So I hope you'll forgive me if I ask you a few more questions.
Shoot.
Okay, here we go. Suppose there are people beyond that wall. They're there, and you're here. And suddenly here's your big moment. What would you do?
I think I'd make a speech.
Okay, what would you say?
Well, could I talk about current issues?
You can do anything you want. This is your play after all. You're the one who's hammering out a whole new form.
Well, then, I'd say 3 things.
Just 3?
Or 3 at the start.
Okay. Do it.
Well, I'd start off easily. I'd use a simple example.
Example of what?
Of how our caffeinated, carbonated or not. I'd say that they're overpriced, nutritionally useless, and terrible for your teeth. I'd say that the amount of labor and money we spend producing, transporting, and consuming these useless beverages, and then dealing with their containers, is a total waste of time. I'd say that we should all see to it that everyone in the world is able to drink and enjoy a free supply of cool, clear water.
That's quite a statement, Peggy. That hits at the heart of a consumer society.
Well, that's just the first thing I'd say.
Just the first?
The second would be to talk about Bill Clinton.
You'd name him directly.
Yes, I would.
So early in the game.
I absolutely would. I'd say that here is a man who at the end of the century, at the end of the millennium, now holds the most powerful position in the world. I'd say that here is a man who's been given a chance to clean up the mess we've made over the last 40 years.
Would you name names there as well?
Well, of course I would. I'd mention all those people who took their eyes off the road and drove us into some ditch. I'd mention Johnson and Nixon and Reagan and Bush.
And what would you say about Bush, for example?
Well, I'd say that Bush had a special responsibility because he grew up in a room just like this. But did he make any attempt to reach beyond that fourth wall? He did not, which is why he is not president today.
I'm not sure that anyone in the theater has pointed a finger so directly at a political figure since Aristophanes attacked the demagogue Cleon in his comic masterpiece, The Birds.
Maybe, but then I'd also say something about Cambodia.
Cambodia?
And Bosnia, and the Sudan, and anywhere where people are in deep adversity. I'd say that the world is small enough now that we can no longer ignore the suffering of our brothers and sisters in humanity any more than we can ignore the suffering of our immediate family. I'd say that we, in this country, have a human obligation to pull ourselves together, not simply so we can improve our own lives here, but rather so we can help other suffering people elsewhere live any life at all.
You'd say all that?
Yes. Yes, I would. But you know, Floyd, anyone can stand around the room and make speeches. The important thing is to have them connect with other people. And I have to say that more and more I feel that connection.
Through this fourth wall.
Through this fourth wall.
Wait here a minute.
Where are you going?
To get the others.
Why?
I want to tell them. We have a plot.
We do?
Yes, we do. In fact, we have the plot of one of the great plays of this or any other century.
Would you mind telling me what it is?
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you knew. It's the plot of St. Joan.
St. Joan?
I'm thinking in particular of the version by George Bernard Shaw.
Well, I've never seen it.
It's the story of a young French peasant girl who tries to change the world.
Well, that's hardly me. I am not so young, and I am not a peasant. In fact, my grandmother was in the social register.
No, but you have a peasant innocence about you, Peggy, and a taste for natural fiber in your clothes.
Well, that's true, I do.
Furthermore, like Joan, you seem to hear special voices
Beyond that fourth wall.
beyond that fourth wall. And Joan acts on those voices. She goes to where the French Dauphin is huddling with his cronies and persuades him to be the king he should be.
Just the way I'll go to Washington and get Bill Clinton to do the same.
That's it. Then Joan and the Dauphin win a series of battles against the English and try to kick them out of France.
Just the way Bill and I will kick the lobbyists and special interests and all the other dead wood out of Washington.
Precisely. But remember, Shaw's play is not just about a peculiar peasant girl and a few obscure battles during the 100 Years' War. What we are really seeing, Shaw tells us, is the birth of Protestantism and the rise of nationalism.
But how does that work with me?
Well, with you and your attack on the consumer society, we see the rise of what you might call ecologism.
I see.
And in your concern to move beyond national boundaries, we see a new kind of post-nationalism, or better yet, transnationalism.
Okay.
But no matter what we name these things, you sense something outside of yourself to accomplish them, which means you're playing a new version of Joan of Arc.
I guess I am.
Which is what I have to go tell the others.
Wait, one more question.
I have to say, Becky, I'm becoming impatient with these delays. As a teacher, I'm eager to share my insights with the others. As a lover of theater, I'm concerned with slowing down the plot.
But I just want to know one more little thing.
What's that?
What about the ending?
What about it?
Well, I mean, St. Joan dies, doesn't she?
Of course she dies. She gets captured by the English and burned at the stake.
Oh, but I don't...
Stop quibbling, Becky. We're talking the big time now. I wouldn't be surprised if we ended up in New York. Now I've got to go tell the others. I have very bad news.
So do I. You said you had bad news.
I did, and you said the same.
Isn't it amazing how a sudden shock will affect our sense of time? I feel as if we've been standing here facing each other for over 15 minutes.
Dina, well, you tell me your news, and then I'll tell you mine.
Okay, I just got a threatening telephone call.
I was afraid things might get dangerous. Was it a man or a woman?
It was hard to tell. It was either a man who sings a decent tenor or a woman who smokes at least a pack a day. Either way, it was suggested in very sinister tones that I rearrange my furniture immediately.
They don't like the fourth wall.
They sure don't.
Well, I can pretty well guess who it was.
You can?
Sure, it was obviously one of three possibilities in view of those speeches you made.
Who?
First, it may have been a critic warning you about your attempt to move beyond realism.
Okay, I can deal with that.
Or else, it may have been a spokesperson from the soft drink industry, angry at what you said about Coke.
Well, I'm sorry, but I'd say it again.
But frankly, I think it's the third alternative.
Who?
Hillary Clinton.
You mean because of what I said about Bill?
No, because she wants to play St. Joan herself.
But it was a horse voice. Does she smoke?
I imagine secretly. I imagine she has to.
Well, I'm sorry, but no matter who threatens me, these things should be said.
Then you keep saying them, Peggy.
Okay, now for your bad news.
I've decided not to tell you.
Hey, no fair.
I can't. And here's why. You may have noticed that we've been caught in a dance struggle tonight between two sorts of plays.
Two sorts of plays?
The one represents the uniquely American yearning for the democratic experience. The other is a cheap throwback to the continental sex comedy.
I don't understand.
I'm glad you don't. But my job, as I see it, is to prevent the bad sort of play from destroying the good, which is why I will not sully the stage by telling you my news.
But does it have to do with my husband?
I'm not saying another word. As the watchman says in Agamemnon, an ox stands on my tongue.
All right. Then I'll see for myself.
Oh, wait. There's another reason I can't tell you.
Another reason?
I'm concerned that you'll blame the messenger. I'm frightened you'll confuse the teller with the tale. I don't know why, but I don't think I could stand that, Peggy.
All right. Now I won't do it then.
Promise?
I
evaporated, Peggy.
How come?
I couldn't tell.
Why not?
They were unreceptive.
What do you mean?
They were in the bedroom with the door locked.
What?
So I knocked on the door. I even rattled the doorknob. Finally, I put my ear to the door.
And what did you hear?
Some of the most second-rate dialogue it has been my misfortune to listen to.
Well, at least you heard dialogue.
I did. And then they opened the door.
Were their clothes in disarray?
Somewhat. And they behaved sheepishly.
Sheepishly?
And claimed they'd been watching television.
Did you believe that?
Well, at least it explains the lousy dialogue. Television writing can be appalling.
Did you tell them about St. Joan?
I tried to, but they didn't listen.
Didn't listen?
They shushed me.
They shushed
And
you?
waved me away.
Waved you away?
And we turned to the bed, sprawled on the bedspread, watching TV.
No.
And a sitcom, I might add.
No.
And a rerun at that.
Are you sure?
Well, the plot was vaguely familiar.
Oh, no.
Oh, actually, the line from St. Joan is, "Oh God, that makes this beautiful earth, when will it be ready to receive thy saints?"
Not by watching TV, I can tell you that.
Of course not.
Oh, how horrible!
Well, you can see why I was a reluctant messenger.
Oh, I should have known Julia would try and seduce Roger. It's been on her mind ever since she saw his underpants in the third grade.
And in their attempt to recapture those juvenile feelings, they regressed to television.
Which they're probably not even watching now, which is probably just blabbing away in the background.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh, Lloyd.
Sorry, Peggy, really I am.
I wonder what St. Joan would do about this.
She would ignore it. She'd have more on her mind than the backstage gropings of a couple of stock characters.
That's true.
So don't let this shed a vulgar light on all we've accomplished this evening.
I'll try not to.
Television. I should have known! A major threat to the contemporary theater. I mean, we could compete with the movies, but TV...
In our bedroom with another woman.
Oh, hell. Maybe our country deserves it. Rome had its bread in circuses. We have TV.
Not necessarily. I'm going to break up the party.
Wait.
No. They want sitcom. I'll give them sitcom.
There's something else I want to tell you, Peggy.
But it's time for me to act.
Half of acting is listening, Peggy. I listen to your speeches. Now you listen to mine.
All right. But if I lose concentration, I'm sure you'll know why.
Peggy, I want you to know that in all my years of teaching, I have never made any sort of sexual advance toward any of my female students, no matter how attractive they may be.
Well, good for you, Floyd.
This is because I've always considered myself gay.
Oh, well, you're sweet to tell me. Now, may I go?
No, please, listen. There's something about this room which has reoriented me. As we played our scenes together today, Peggy, I've begun to have second thoughts about my sexuality. Even as I announced the infidelity of your husband, I felt a strange yearning to take his place at your side.
Oh, Floyd.
No, Peggy. Really. In fact, I think I love you. I want to be with you wherever you go. All right, I may be gay. But why should that stop me? Gays on the stage make spectacular lovers. English actors have been proving this fact for years. Well, they have the technique, but we have the feelings. At least I have for you, Peggy, tonight.
Aren't you slipping into the continental sex comedy, Floyd?
Oh, maybe I am, but what the hell? Look, I don't have to slip with you. The Lord knows I'd like to take a crack at it. I won't even play the frustrated lover mooning at your side. May I simply hang out with you occasionally? Opening your hate mail, screening your phone calls, sharing the occasional pizza in lonely hotel rooms when we take this play on the road.
But what about your career? Don't you want tenure?
barge
Oh,
in.
don't drag the children into this.
All right, baby, here's the thing. Julie and I may have entered the bedroom with other intentions, but during the preliminaries, I happened to roll onto the remote control and the TV came on. Well, naturally, we started watching it.
It just goes to show how television dominates our lives.
It turned out to be crummy. I was bored with it almost immediately.
Oh, well then why did you continue to watch it?
Well, I hoped it would get better.
Hoped it would get better? That's what they said about post-war Russian drama.
And did it get better, Roger, after Floyd came and went?
And left you to your own devices?
No, it didn't. It got worse.
Oh, I completely disagree. I thought it was getting quite good.
And now I'm confused. Are we talking about sex or TV?
Only in America could such a question arise.
The answer is that he grabbed the remote and switched to the sports channel.
Oh, this suddenly has the ring of truth to it. They're always doing that. They remotely control almost every aspect of our lives, and we women have to accommodate ourselves passively to almost every channel they switch to.
Oh, now hold on. Just hold on here. Who's accommodated himself to whom around here? Who's been putting up with this freaking fourth wall? Oh, Peggy, I've loved you for a hell of a long time, but sometimes you're a pain in the ass. Now, I'm saying nothing happened between me and Julia, and that's a difficult thing to say because she's a really exciting woman.
Oh, thank you, Roger.
And what if something had happened? What if a man happens to put his wee-wee in the wrong woman? I mean wrong woman, so what the hell? Maybe a man gets tired of the approved diet occasionally and wants to bite into a good, unhealthy, sizzling steak.
Thank you, Roger.
I mean, the French do it all the time. We're disappointed with them when they don't. Hindu gods do it on temples, and Hollywood stars do it on screen.
Folks in Siam do it. Look at Siamese twins.
And your buddy Bill Clinton did it too.
Oh, he did not.
Oh, I say he did, and Hillary took him back, and the country elected him president.
That's why I voted for him.
This will stand as the most insidious defense of adultery in all of Western drama.
Oh, all right then, Roger. May I do it too?
No!
Why not?
Because it would be completely out of
My
character.
character has changed.
There, you see, as with most arguments between husbands and wives, you've both gotten absolutely nowhere.
Why don't you just go watch the Playboy channel? It will solve everything.
I don't want to watch television ever again, Peggy. Ever. Well, except for the Buffalo Bills.
Then welcome back to the living stage.
Not so fast, Floyd. I have one final question to ask of Roger and Julia.
Shoot, I'm ready for it.
I have nothing to be ashamed of so far in the plot.
Roger and Julia, while you were demonstrating your limited attention span in the bedroom, and Floyd and I were here in the living room working through a very difficult scene, did either of you give a thought to what might be happening in the kitchen?
The kitchen?
Did either of you, for example, bother to see what might be happening in the oven? Or think about what we might do for a green vegetable? Or check the freezer for any ideas on dessert?
I didn't.
Nor, I'm afraid, did I.
I didn't think so. Excuse me, Floyd. Apparently St. Joan is still responsible for the meal.
Well, let me help you, darling.
No, thanks. You'll just try and butter me up.
Well, at least let me wash the lettuce.
All right. But no goosing or nuzzling or fooling around. I'm still very angry at you, Roger. You can't switch my channel so easily.
I'm hopeless in the kitchen. Being a New Yorker, I either order in or eat out. I simply don't understand stoves. Even breakfast poses a problem. I always burn my buns. Are you a good cook? I said, are you a good cook? Do you have any specialties?
Noisette de veau Angleterre, gnocchi e porcini di Firenze, trout Tel Aviv with Dead Sea dumplings.
It sounds yummy. Maybe you'd cook for me sometime.
No thanks.
Do you mind if I smoke?
Yes, I do.
You do? You
are no ashtrays here.
I just use this little plate of Staffordshire china.
I do not believe that the good craftsman in Staffordshire designed that plate as a receptacle for your lipstick-stained butts.
Nonetheless, I think I shall employ it for such.
You might want to know that no one smokes on stage anymore.
Oh, really?
It's a piece of stage business that's totally obsolete.
Well, then the theater has lost another fine old custom. If it's done well, it both reveals character and looks seductive. Watch, for example, how attractively I do this. You will be reminded of Dietrich.
If you like that butt, lady, I'll take it with all the rest of your smoking paraphernalia and shove it attractively up your...
You're not very polite. I suppose you know that.
Yes, I do.
I mean, all I'm trying to do is have a short scene with you here, and you're making that virtually impossible.
We don't belong in the same play, lady, much less the same scene.
Oh, really? And why, pray tell, do you say that?
Because we've made major breakthroughs here today. We've opened the whole thing up. We've been discussing major issues, and you are bringing it all back down to some second-rate, middle-class comedy of manners.
And what big issues have you been talking about?
Reforming the country, changing the world, all that.
Come on.
In fact, we found certain strong parallels here today to Saint Joan.
Saint Joan? Joan of Lorraine? The Ark family's little girl Joan? That Joan?
That Joan.
Oh, come on, Professor. Saint Joan as a model in today's world? Why, even the movie was a failure 40 years ago. Grow up, Professor Lesser. Join the 20th century.
Yeah, well, you might be interested to know it's an eternal story. It stretches back to Antigone and forward to Thelma and Louise.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. And in all of its many manifestations, there's no place in the cast for a type like you. So find a reason to get off the stage. Or I'll find one for you.
Floyd. May I call you Floyd?
I don't give a shit.
Floyd, I have a friend.
I doubt that.
No, I do, Floyd. I have a friend who is a professional actress. She once told me that whenever she got into trouble in a scene, she just tries to remember her original objective. Now, what was my original objective? My original objective was simply and solely to give an opinion on this wall.
And so?
Well, then things progressed, and I revised that objective. My objective then became to seduce someone.
You mean Roger.
I mean Roger. But recently, as you may have observed, Roger passed, as they say in the theater. And so, being a woman, I am capable of lowering my sights.
Don't get any ideas, lady.
What? You mean you with me? Oh, no, heavens, no. No. What I mean is that I am once again revising my objective. My objective is now simply to engage you in casual conversation. I want to keep the ball in the air and the air in the ball, and that is my only objective at this point.
And my objective remains what it has always been, to keep good theater alive in this country in order to maintain a healthy and self-critical society.
Oh, but we'll keep theater alive, dear heart, simply by talking to each other.
Conversation is not dramatic dialogue.
Come on, we've got to do something. I mean, here we are in front of this stupid fourth wall. At least tell me where you're from.
I'm not saying.
Oh, come on, please. Just an improvisation to jumpstart us.
I happen to come from a very underestimated town.
Name it and we'll see.
I happen to come from right here.
What? Buffalo? Beaufleur, which is cruelly called the mistake on the lake.
This is my hometown.
But I'm from Buffalo, too.
Come off it.
I am. You would have known that if you had been here for the exposition.
I'm amazed.
Well, there, you see? You see where casual conversation can lead. Already we've struck a common chord. Shall we pursue the thread?
Why not?
All right. Tell me about your family, for example.
You wouldn't know the truth. my high school drama teacher, who admired the composer of Guys and Dolls.
Well, what was your surname before that?
I didn't have one. I was an orphan.
An orphan?
When I was barely a few hours old, I was deposited on the steps of the Niagara Home for Little Wanderers by an unwed mother.
No!
There I was raised by a group of kindly social workers. I was never adopted because I had a slight bedwetting problem, which now, damn it, is virtually cured.
Floyd, you're not going to believe this.
What?
Well, here's the thing. I, yours truly, little old me, once had an illegitimate child.
No, you're kidding.
No, I just never thought I could talk about it, unless I was asked on to the Oprah Winfrey Show.
You, a mother?
When I was very young, and before I became involved with Planned Parenthood. Guess what I did with my illegitimate child?
I hate to think.
I deposited it on the steps of the same institution you referred to in your own narrative.
The Niagara Home for Little Wanderers?
The same!
Fantastic!
I know!
Talk about coincidence.
Talk about plot.
Small world, huh?
Oh, home week!
Niagara Home Week.
Oh, do you see? You see what can happen when people just loosen up and converse?
I do. I'm beginning to see that, Julia.
Well, should we continue? Just to see where things lead.
Oh, hell, why not?
All right, then. Lloyd, tell me, how old are you? Approximately a ballpark figure.
I'll tell you this. Today's my birthday.
Well, happy same!
Thanks,
Oh,
Julia.
I feel like I should have a present or something.
No, no.
Now, Lloyd, wouldn't it be amusing if you and my illegitimate child were approximately the same age?
That would be a good one, wouldn't it, Julia?
Wait, we can actually check.
We can check.
I just happen to be wearing this box. It contains an inscription of the birth date and a scrap of the little nightgown the infant wore when I presented it to the orphanage. I wear this everywhere, except on the subway, of course. There, can you read the inscription?
Today's date.
No!
I swear, Julia.
I can't believe this! We're beginning to sound like Dickens!
Actually, I always carry with me in my wallet a scrap of the nightshirt I was found in as a baby.
Oh, boy, wouldn't it be wonderful if they compared favorably?
That would be too much, Julia.
Okay.
They're almost identical,
Don't
Julia.
tell me.
And only when you put them together can you read the following message. Tumble dry under moderate heat. I mean, Jesus, we're just talking, Julia, and out of it comes all this stuff. I mean, you were right about the natural flow of conversation. It makes me think I've been too structured both inside the classroom and out.
I'm very tempted to go and tell the others.
Think we should?
Well, they might get a kick out of it.
Maybe we ought to make a call first.
A call?
To the Niagara Home for Little Wanderers.
You think so?
I've learned in academia never to leap to conclusions.
Suppose you're
I
right.
mean, take these little nightshirts, for example. Lots of babies might have worn them.
Suppose.
May I have directory assistance, please?
Lloyd, wait! I noticed a telephone in the den. Maybe we should call from there. I mean, after all, this is a private issue.
You're right.
Do you think they'll give us this information over the phone?
Of course they will. They have to. It's the law. All you need is a valid credit card.
Oh! Lloyd, do you think in light of how far we've come that you might let me celebrate by smoking just one little ciggy poo?
Only if you let me bum one.
Oh, Lloyd, you are such a piece of work!
Couldn't we have it in the kitchen?
It belongs here, in front of that wall.
Oh, but I love eating in the kitchen. Remember when the kids were still around, eating in the kitchen and watching Jeopardy?
See? There you are, always falling back on the TV. Now please, sit down.
Suddenly I feel very nervous.
So do I. Maybe we're both reminded of the final scene in Doll's House by Henrik Ibsen.
We read that my freshman year in college.
So did we. Seems like everybody read the same thing back then.
Can you refresh me of that last scene? I got a C in English. I spent a lot of time playing freshman lacrosse.
Well, I only got a B minus, but I think what happens is the wife sits her husband down and explains to him why she's leaving.
Leaving?
Walking out.
Forever?
Get that feeling.
Why?
Because he never took her seriously.
I'm taking you seriously.
As a wife, yes. As a mother, oh yes. But as me, a person in my own right, never. When it comes to things that have nothing to do with our cozy little family, you never really listen to what I've had to say, Roger.
Oh, Peggy.
No, I mean this now. If you and I had just sat down at the beginning and had this scene, we probably wouldn't be having it at all.
Well, your logic eludes you,
No,
darling.
it doesn't. You know exactly what I mean. You just don't want to deal with it. You never do.
Sweetheart.
We've been very lucky, you and I, Roger. With the kids, with your work, with everything. And it's made us smug and safe and selfish. I have to shake things up.
Well, consider me shook.
I wonder. I open up our lives. And what do? You bring in Julia to trivialize the problem, and then you bring in Floyd to categorize it academically. And you think that if everybody just sings Cole Porter, it will solve everything.
But I love Cole Porter.
I know you do, darling, so do I. But he is no solution for what ails us.
He's a serious guy, Peg. There's an such a hungry, burning side.
I'm not going to argue about the score, Roger. There's a certain inevitability in plays and a certain progression in the history of modern drama. I also learned that in freshman English. After Ibsen comes Shaw, which means after we do A Doll's House, I've got to go off and play St. John.
Oh, are you going to put on armor, or can you play it in pantyhose?
Damn it, Roger, I have just discovered a fifth wall here tonight.
Oh, fifth wall, great! I can't even handle a fourth
Well,
wall!
when you do, there is a fifth to get through, and that's the wall between men and women, which may be the toughest of all to crack. Now, excuse me. I'm on my way to Washington.
Washington? Floyd mentioned New York.
I've decided Washington.
Oh, that's a dangerous town, love.
That's okay. I plan to put a fourth wall in the White House.
That may not be feasible, Peg. It's an Oval Office.
Well, I don't care. And then I'll put one in every house in America.
A lot of people don't have one wall these days, let alone four.
All the more reason to get going.
But why you?
Because I want to. Because I said I would. Because people are counting on me.
What people?
Those people beyond the wall. Roger, where the hell have you been?
I've been here all evening, love, and I can tell you in all honesty, I don't think there's anyone out there.
You don't.
I don't. That wall just holds up our house, period.
That's all.
And that's enough. And even supposing there were people beyond that wall, Peg, I don't think they'd expect you to change the world. Oh, they might be interested, maybe amused, but in the end, they wouldn't take this St. Joan thing terribly seriously.
You don't think so?
I don't. Plays never change the world, Peg. The ones that try never last.
Boy.
Oh, look, honey, we've had a good time here tonight. We've had a laugh or two. You said some things that needed to be said. But don't you think it's time we put the furniture back the way it was?
The way it was?
I promise. I'll turn off the TV and sit down and talk eyeball to eyeball with you whenever you want.
So you just want to sit around and grow old.
And enjoy each other, and our friends, and our children, and someday grandchildren. Hey, leave politics to politicians. Let's hunker down here at home.
So what you're saying is I've run up against a blank wall.
like to thank you for the use of your telephone.
I hope it served its purpose.
It did and it didn't.
Meaning?
We hoped we'd have a surprise for you.
Well, yes, we thought we discovered we were related.
In fact, I hoped to secretly be able to dramatize the connections of all human beings.
Oh, that would have been wonderful.
But this is not to be.
Well, it turns out that the infant I presented to the orphanage years ago was female rather than male. It simply slipped my mind.
The child was obviously not me, and I'd be glad to prove it.
Oh, that won't be necessary, dear. In my eagerness to carry on a conversation, I simply assumed too much.
And my eagerness for a recognition scene, I went along with it. Art is not like people. What we do on stage tends to be modified once we're in the wings.
But on the other hand, we've been on a meaningful journey together, and we have established a friendship with no sexual component whatsoever. This is new to me, of course. You might say I've broken through my own personal fourth wall.
And as for me, I feel as if life has finally penetrated the academic shell I built around myself. Next semester, I plan to take a sabbatical from teaching and concentrate simply and solely on my bedwetting problem.
Oh, well, I'll help you, dear.
I'd appreciate that, Julia.
Then here's what we do.
Oh, I knew it. He's going to end this thing with Cole Porter.
Oh,
Come on, let's sing.
Are there any Judy Garland songs on this album?
I haven't heard this in years. I love this.
Let's say, let's be bloody. Let's say, let's be pals.
Let's
Say, let's be buddies.
and keep up
Each other's morals.
I
May never shall be, but many's the time I'm blue. Come on, babe. Let's say, how's about it? Can I be a buddy too? One more time from the top. Let's say, let's be buddies.
Wasn't funny.
Let's say, let's be pals. Like Hope and Crosby. Let's say, let's be buddies.
Like Beaumont and Fletcher.
Keep up each other's morale. Take it, babe.
I can't do this.
Oh, why not? You were doing fine.
That's just it. It reminds me how wonderful it is when everybody gets together and sings.
Oh, only in small groups, darling. When they're old friends and no words.
But I want everybody to do it. I want everybody in the world to be singing different parts to some basic underlying melody.
Is she talking about opera?
No, she's talking about the social contract as proposed in the 18th century by Jean-Jacques Rousseau.
Well, whatever it is, I've got to get people to do it.
Well, not everyone can carry a tune, Peg.
Well, then they can beat the drum. Come on, Floyd. Time to march into battle.
March? I'm just learning how to walk, Peggy.
Right? I'll go along.
No, wait. Early in the evening, Floyd mentioned an exam.
Oh, right. That was a plant, Peggy. And you can't just leave it hanging there.
That's right. You've got to take the exam.
She's already passed. Summa cum laude.
Thank you, Floyd. And thank you for my plot. Goodbye, Julia. I missed you, darling. Now, there are lots of leftovers in the freezer. They'll last you till you learn how to cook.
Well, I won't bother. I'll eat Chinese.
Oh.
I'll have an affair.
Not with me, please. I'm over all that.
I won't let you go. I'll keep you here by force.
Don't be silly, darling. Goodbye. I knew you'd be here. Oh, how wonderful. I wish we could all get together. But first, I have to go off to Washington and change the world. Oh, wish me luck. Oh, is there anything you want me to tell Bill? Oh, wish me luck. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Wow! Did you see that? She broke the proscenium.
She must have done it with mirrors.
Quickly, boy, was St. Joan married?
Of course not.
She must have had lovers.
Only in Schiller and Verdi.
Shit, I can't speak German or Italian.
But in Shaw, there was a young soldier who followed her everywhere she went. I used to want to play that role.
I could do that.
It's kind of a minor part.
Well, maybe I played the lead too long.